On today's show, we're not seeing the best version of Cooper Flagg in Summer League. And it's on purpose. The Mavs are doing this on purpose. I'll tell you why and more about what I'm hearing and seeing on today's Locked On Mavs. One more thing.
I'm here because I have to.
Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
That's it. It's me versus the machine.
Nice penetrating thrust to the middle.
People forget about Flagg.
Hot man, the hot player.
Wait. One more thing.
Yeah, you're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member at NBA channel manager of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day here at Summer League Day 2. Hearing from the Mavs, going to practice. Mavs don't play today, but they will play tomorrow, and we'll see what happens with them then. And I want to talk about Cooper Flagg. I want to talk about Ryan Nembhard a little bit. I want to talk about Miles Kelly, who we got to hear from at practice today. Just a lot of really fun things here. And I want to start with Cooper Flagg because watching him play last night, there was this sense that, okay, Cooper Flagg is the number one player in Summer League. He's the number one player for the Mavericks. He goes out there, takes 21 shots. He's super aggressive early on, and then he misses a whole bunch of shots. And then obviously there's the talk about, wow, he's overrated. There's you just hear a bunch of people saying a bunch of things. And I think that if anybody's taking last night's game and saying, all right, well, if that's what Cooper Flagg is, and he comes out and shoots 5 of 21, misses all these shots, and that's what the Mavericks are getting, then it's a waste, or it's not good enough, or anything like that. The thing that I want to focus on is the fact that that version of Cooper Flagg that we saw in that Summer League game is not the best version of Cooper Flagg. The best version of Cooper Flagg is the connector, the guy that makes everything else around him work. He fills in the gaps in the best way. He looks at a team and says, okay, we have Tyrese Proctor, who's kind of maybe more of an off-ball guy. We've got Malawach, who's a rim roller. We've got Knipple, who can finish, but can also get his own shot a little bit. We have all these different little pieces. And what John Shire at Duke decided was that, all right, we look at you, and you are the one that now can initiate offense. We're going to have you run 300 pick and rolls as the ball handler because we need that type of playmaker. So he filled in that role. The best version of Cooper Flagg is like, it could be anything that you want. I don't think it's the guy that puts up a bunch of shots. I don't think he's going to be Luka in the same sense, or he's going to be a James Harden in the sense where he looks for his own shot first, or he goes out there and he's like, all right, I'm a bucket. I'm Devin Booker. I'm going out there and getting a bucket first. Kevin Durant. That's what I'm doing. That's not what Cooper Flagg is. Cooper Flagg is an incredible defender, playmaker, connector, brings everybody together, does a lot of those things, and I think we'll see that. This is probably the second Summer League game if he plays that one, and I'm hoping as I'm still out here, I'm hoping that he plays that second one. But we'll definitely see that more on the Dallas Mavericks because he's going to be playing with better players. He's going to be playing with some more playmakers, D'Angelo Russell, maybe Brandon Williams, maybe Dante Exum, obviously Anthony Davis. And so I think we're going to see that a little bit more. But what they're doing with him in Summer League I think is important too. Getting those reps as the guy, all right, go get your own shot. All right, go out there, take this shot. All right, go out there. And Coach Brockhammer, the Mavs Summer League coach, mentioned this at practice today. He was asked about Cooper Flagg and about his approach and about how he took all those shots and missed a bunch of them. And that's kind of been the big talk. It's hilarious that we're so focused on 5 of 21. It's like took 21 shots, made 5, missed, 16? And we're just so focused on that, which I guess I'm part of the problem now. But he said this. So the coach said this. Cooper Flagg did a really good job of giving what the defense gave him. They were trying to switch it. They were trying to put their smalls on our centers and switching up a lot. And so as you saw, certain defenders go to one-on-one against him. They were going to stay home, let him play one-on-one. And those are really good shots for us. And he's talking about Cooper Flagg taking what the defense gives him. When Bronny was switched onto him, save for maybe that one possession where Bronny fouled him and locked him up that I see a bunch of people talking about, that he was going to attack a smaller player. Because that's what you do. When you're a 6'9 guy and a 6'2 guy is defending you, you attack that player. And so I think that what we saw Cooper Flagg do last night is not the role that we're going to see him best at in the NBA. But they do want him to get better at those things. That's why last year when the Mavericks were going through Summer League, they had Jaden Hardy run a bunch of pick and rolls and try to be the guy that was the focal point of an offense to see if he could do that. And obviously that experiment failed and was not good for the Mavericks. But this one is, all right, Cooper Flagg, go run a bunch of possessions. Go take a bunch of shots. Go get your own shot here against an NBA context, against some more NBA caliber athletes and things like that. And so we saw that version of him last night, and that's not the best version. I'm just going to keep going. I'm just keep going back to that because I think it's true that the best version of him is something different. The other thing that Coach said was we've had 3-4 practices, really, where spacing is not perfect. And it is kind of interesting, again, to hear a coach say our spacing is not good, or something is not good, or something has not been great, especially when it comes to a practice and things like that. But he's right. Their spacing is not great. They do have a bunch of shooters, but they have a bunch of 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" guys. And the spacing in Summer League is not always going to be great because your connection and cohesiveness is not great. Your guys are not always in the perfect spots for them. In the NBA, you've been through a bunch of practices. Everybody knows personnel much better. Like, you think about all these guys coming into Summer League. Do you think they've studied each other and know exactly what each other is good at? Probably not at this stage. You're together, 3 days? And then you get shipped out to Summer League, and then they do another – you play a game, then you do another practice in the morning, and then now you have another game the next day. And so their spacing has not been super good. And so he goes on to say, once you get to the NBA season, spacing is a premium. And that is going to open up a lot for Cooper Flagg too. And so that is a different thing. That the types of shots he's going to get are going to be different in the NBA because he's going to be better used as his better version. And right now they're trying to experiment with him as a shot creator, lead ball handler. He was the point guard at times when Ryan Nembhard was sitting last night. He was the point guard at times. He was the one out there. And so, yeah, I think that's something that's very interesting. And then Coach Brockhammer also mentioned this about Cooper Flagg. They want to put him into better positions. I asked him the question today. I said, last night you said that we spent a lot of the beginning of the game, everybody was just sitting watching Cooper Flagg work, and they didn't want to do that as much. So what is your message today to the team? And he said, today was much more about what we did in the second half. He pointed out they went 2 of 15 from 3 in the first half, 7 of 13 in the second half. And so just getting those same shots, getting to the spots on the floor that they did in the second half. And in the second half, he said what they did was setting up Cooper Flagg to be able to attack closeout basketball. So Cooper Flagg gets the ball in an advantageous position where a defender is not completely draped all over him. And then he's able to attack that player trying to run out and say, all right, don't take that shot. That player running out and closing out on him and him attacking. So then it becomes a 1-on-4, a 1-on-5 situation. It's not a 1-on-4, 1-on-5 situation for Cooper. It's then the Mavs having an advantageous situation. So they want to run more stuff like that, which makes sense. And that, to me, is the best version of Cooper Flagg that we'll see, is one where he's filling in the gaps, where guys are running some action. He's over here, and then all of a sudden they see an advantage. Cooper's man leaves him or something, or he gets beat or something like that, and all of a sudden Cooper Flagg gets the ball, and now he's able to attack a mismatch. He's able to attack different players because he's so versatile, because he's so big. I mean, he looked big out there, 6'9", all of 6'9", and he'll be able to do that more in a better context. But he also continued to say Cooper did a really good job of finding those guys early and making the right play, and that's what he does. He makes the right play a lot. The Mavs wanted him to take more of those shots. Cooper Flagg is conditioned to make the right play, to make the right pass, to take the right shot. They wanted him to go take those shots, and that's what I want to keep emphasizing, is that the best version of Cooper Flagg is not what we saw last night. That version is one that's working on something and trying to get better at it, which is great. Coming up, let's talk about Miles Kelly, because he had some great things to say after practice that I really enjoyed, and what his role could potentially be with the Mavericks. Let's talk about that and more coming up. Today's Locked On Mavs. Today's Locked On Mavs brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $20 off your first purchase. Game Time can help you get to all kinds of different things. I've used it for theater tickets. There's all kinds of musicals and shows and stuff that you want to see, and Game Time has that. You can see exactly where you're going to sit in the in the theater. You can see exactly if there's going to be a mezzanine on top of you, so you can't see part of the stage, or if you're too high up where the angle is not great. I love that part about Game Time. I also love that they show you exactly what you're going to pay at checkout at the beginning, so I'm not surprised by fees and go, all right, this is an $80 ticket. And then by the end of it, it's a $126 ticket. And you're like, where did this $46 come from? Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. It's all one word, LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today to go to all your sports, concerts, comedy, theater, all that kind of stuff. Maybe even see tomorrow's stars today like I am here at Summer League. And go check out Game Time right now. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. That's what we call our listeners, listening each and every day as they throw T-shirts out here at Summer League. The loudest the arena gets is when they throw T-shirts out and just chuck them into the stands. There's some people that will just never be thrown a T-shirt. You're way too high up. These people can't throw far enough. And so let's talk about more on Summer League. We talked about Cooper Flagg a lot. We've obviously been talking about him a lot because he's the number one player. He's the best player out here. Everybody's excited to see him. Everybody was excited to see him last night. There was so much hype around the game. And the hype is something that I wanted to ask Miles Kelly about, because Miles Kelly from Auburn the 6'6" wing, good shooter, good defensive player, started in the Mavs Summer League game last night. I wanted to ask him about the hype because he is a guy that will talk a little bit, and he seemed to be really excited about going to Summer League, about being in the NBA. He was just, during the practices before we came out here, was very excited about the whole process. And so I asked him, I said, how do the vibes and the buzz around the game last night compare to some of your games at Auburn? And he said this, man, the energy last night was crazy. I mean, we talked about it this morning. One of the coaches was like, it was an NBA playoff atmosphere last night. So on top of the fact that it was so physical last night as well, that was definitely up there. I've had some big games at Auburn, but by far my first NBA game of that magnitude, that was up there for sure. He went to a Final Four. He was in the Final Four, and he's saying that Summer League game had almost as much buzz and hype. The arena and the room was just so filled with people excited. And if you've never been to Summer League, it is kind of a unique experience because everybody here is like a sicko. There's weird jerseys all the time everywhere. I just saw Carmelo Anthony Trailblazers 00 jersey. I've seen all kinds of jerseys out here. I saw a Keontae George Jazz jersey. Like, that is a person that is super into into the NBA. There's a guy right in front of me wearing a Trigga Trey jersey, which I'm guessing is a Trey Murphy jersey. It's a Pelicans jersey. There's a Zach LaVine Bulls jersey over to my right. There's just everybody is here that loves the NBA. And so people respond to stuff in the game more intently than they would at a normal game at the American Airlines Center. Mavericks fans really only respond to Mavericks things. Here, you don't know who's going to get, like, if somebody has an alley-oop, either side could be excited about it. If somebody has a big block, either side could be excited about it. You're going to get people just excited about cool basketball things happening. And so for that game last night, the hype was even higher because everybody knew that's LeBron James' son. That's Cooper Flagg, the #1 player. And so everybody was excited. And I love that that these guys in Summer League, like, felt that. And then a coach, Miles Kelly said a coach told them it felt like an NBA playoff atmosphere, which is just awesome to think about and hilarious to me. That they thought it felt like that, because it felt like that to me. And if an NBA coach is saying that, then that's confirmation to me. I also asked Miles Kelly, I said, was there anybody courtside that you saw that you were like, whoa? And he thought about it for a second. He said, I saw some YouTube creators. And then he also said, I thought LeBron was there. He saw Savannah James, LeBron's wife. Also, LeBron's daughter was there to see Bronny. But LeBron, I didn't get confirmation LeBron was here last night. I don't think he was. I think he would have made a big entrance. This is where Isaac rolls his eyes as we talk about LeBron making a huge entrance, because he's done that before. I've been here at Summer League before where LeBron walks in after like 5 minutes are passed in the first quarter and everybody cheers because he makes this huge entrance. But he mentioned YouTube creators, and this is something I have to admit as a person that was born in the 90s and is aging. We were sitting here in this media section, and it's basically a section in the stands where just people are walking by. And there was this group of kids yesterday that were just following around these streamers over and over, just big crowds of kids. Just like every time somebody would show up, they would just crowd, ask for autographs, pictures, everything like that. And I went 1 for 5 on knowing the streamers. I knew the guy FaZe Rug. That's the only one I knew. The rest of them, I was just had no idea who they were, and I've never felt so washed or old, because these are not streamers like video game streamers. These are just lifestyle streamers that just chat, which is what Kyrie is doing right now, by the way. He's doing a 24-hour Twitch stream. I watched it earlier. He had Andre Iguodala on. He had that guy Tristan Jass on, the basketball YouTuber. But I've never felt more old and washed than watching those kids chase down a streamer and having like no idea who that guy is. Right? Like, I feel like if there was a point in life, maybe before the internet, where like everybody knew who a celebrity was. We're at the point now where there are celebrities and just people would have no idea. Like, a bunch of people would just have no idea. It is hilarious. I mean, I guess that happens to me sometimes. People, I go to Mavericks games and you know me and you come up to me sometimes at games, and other people have no idea, which is the majority of people in there have no idea who I am, which is fine too. We're all in these little pockets, and it's just very interesting to me. Okay, back to Miles Kelly. Yeah, I thought that it was great that he was like looking around to see who was there. He definitely saw LeBron James' wife there, knew who she was, all that kind of stuff. That they just love this kind of this moment and all that. I think it's great. Miles Kelly, on his role, though, I thought he played really well yesterday. 17 points, had really good energy and hustle. He's the one that's going to go out there and do the little things and things like that. Coach said this about Miles Kelly. He shoots the basketball really well. I think we saw last night, too. He's a great rebounder. As the game turns more into isolation and switching, he has to guard his own and then come back out and box out bigger guys to go get the ball. That's something I think he can always help any team with, which is great. Teams always need that. And then, once once these people are closing out on him, making plays off the dribble and doing stuff like that, that's the thing I think he needs to do a little bit better job on. I think he needs to work on that, is to be able to do something except for just shoot. He can shoot. He's a great shooter, and he's always going to shoot. You could tell from that game last night he is confident. He's going to take any shot. But he needs to be able to do something else, attack a closeout, things like that. But then Coach continued and said this, but shooting the basketball is something we keep encouraging him to do, and he does it at a high level, and yes, he does. And he's very confident. Hearing him talk yesterday, very confident in his own shot and all that. Ryan Nembhard, I want to talk about. A lot of people are talking about Ryan Nembhard because he played so well, and you just saw the poise from him. You saw him just really handle himself really well, and I think that he is going to help the Mavericks at some point. We're going to see him. Hopefully it's not because a bunch of injuries happened the same way it happened last year when we saw all the two-way guys play a bunch. But I think Ryan Nembhard's going to have some kind of role in the Mavericks where it's not like he's in the G League all season next year. We saw him hit a bunch of jumpers, and Gonzaga, he only averaged like 10 points a game. It's not like he was this big go out there and score a bunch of, get a bunch of buckets kind of guy. But he can get his own bucket. I think we saw that last night, that he can go do that. And he can make plays and make the right play and do all that kind of stuff. I'm also very curious to see what this team looks like when Cooper Flagg stops playing, because they're going to have at least 3 games. If he only plays the 2 games, which is what's rumored, the Mavs are only going to have 3 games. They're going to have 3 games without him. And Cooper Flagg ran so much of the offense, had so much of the offense run through him. And you really only have Ryan Nembhard and like Jordan Hall as ball handlers after that. So what is this team gonna do? It might get a little rough, but Ryan Nembhard's role will be increased, especially if Cooper's not playing. And so something to definitely watch. I'm definitely excited to see how Ryan Nembhard looks in Game 2. He looked like to be in good spirits. The Mavs social team posted that it was Slurpee Day, so they had everybody holding up a Slurpee from 7-Eleven. Shout out. And Ryan Nembhard was one of those, and I thought that was a funny picture. All right, that's it for Summer League Day 2. Got more. Game tomorrow. Lots of good stuff happening all the time here. Subscribe to Locked On Mavs wherever you're listening to watching this. Subscribe to the text line. There's a link in the description. All you have to do is go to that, and then you can subscribe to it and get all the updates and everything like that. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.